Hello everyone, it's Brian here with some records to show you. So I guess this is recent finds for November, the first part of November. I used to do these monthly and then they became twice a month, and I guess I'll stick with twice a month until it becomes 3 times a month and then weekly or whatever. I don't know. I only have 4 records today though, so the only 4 to show you. And so I got a message from Low Noise Jason Skills end of last week, who said he'd be at Sonic Boom Friday at 3:30 and could I meet him there? And I said yes. So I hopped on my bike, cycled down there. Now I've been to Sonic Boom hundreds of times probably. It's, I guess, the biggest record store in Canada. And I've met up with Jason Skills many times. If I remember, I'll put a link to his channel below. I've met him for shopping trips. I can't even remember how many times. He's always a cool guy to hang out with. So Sonic Boom is one of my top 3 favorite record stores in the city, I guess. As I mentioned, it's large. When you first walk in, it has the new vintage arrivals and new releases, and downstairs it has a very large floor filled with, records, CDs, equipment like turntables and styluses and things like that. So it's a pretty all-encompassing shop. They used to have a location. The first time I encountered them, I think, was their first location. They were on Bloor Street near Bathurst, when they were primarily focused on compact discs with records relegated to the basement. Then they moved to a place in Honest Ed's near Bathurst and Bloor, same area anyway. And then they split, so they had a record or a vinyl-only shop in Kensington Market, and then finally they moved to Chinatown and have this nice location. It's a really cool store, and I always go there because I pass by it a lot, and if anyone's coming to town, that's an obvious place to go. So, having said all that, let me tell you about the records I purchased. 3 of them at Sonic Boom on Friday and 1 later. By the way, after we did some record shopping, Jason and I went to have a coffee at the coffee shop next door. Now, I don't really drink caffeine. I'm certainly not drinking caffeine at 5:30 or 6. So as uncool as it sounds, I had decaf coffee. So there you go. Now, first record from a Toronto area band called The Extras. And this is The Extras in the Road to Zambando. And you can see there's a toucan here behind this guy's head who also reappears here. This is kind of strange. So the Extras are a local band. By the way, I believe there's a British band called The Extras. Now, their first record, I guess you would describe as power pop with a bit of ska influence, maybe something like that. They moved towards a more pop or new wave sound, depending on how you describe things. This is probably rock, pop, a bit of new wave, a bit of synth maybe. Now I think they're probably best known for a sort of novelty song they released called Circular Impression, which is a hilarious song about a young man who has been carrying around a prophylactic device in his wallet for so long that it's left a circular impression in his wallet. So that is a story of, it's a sad story about a man who's never able to use the prophylactic he's been carrying around. We thought that was quite hilarious when we were younger, so I thought that was a pretty funny song. That's probably their best known song. Maybe this record is something I didn't really know very much about, to be honest. There's a single on here called Turning It Out, first track on the album, which I had heard before, but I hadn't heard anything else on this, and I'm surprisingly impressed with it. It's mellower than I thought it would be, but the production is really good, and I actually quite enjoy it. And we pulled the record out here. It's on Ready Records, which is a well-known, if you're in Toronto, a well-known local record label. Now, the only name on this record that might be familiar to some people is probably Doug McCaskill, who's on guitars here. He also played guitars in, was the guitarist in the Stampeders, Moxie, I believe, for a time, the Arrows, and he was also, for a period of time, worked with Long John Baldry, the kind of blues singer from England who I think relocated to Canada at some point. So that's The Extras. They put out a record in 1981, 82, 83, and 84, so just 4, and then they were done. This is the second from 1982, and I don't know, I guess that was it for them. And, their last album had a really good song on it too, but that is The Extras. Now we'll go to again, Toronto, but a band that started on the East Coast, and that is Sloan. Now, recently I just mentioned their most recent full-length album called Based on the Bestseller. This is an EP that originally came out in 2009 on digital formats, and you could get a copy of that. You could download it if you were a member of their fan club and got the email. I wasn't, and I didn't, so I didn't hear it then. But in 2009, this was released on vinyl. So I don't know, like the funny thing is, I've never seen this in a record store before, and so I don't know if this is the 2009 pressing or a more recent pressing. It has 2009 on the back, of course. Came with a download code that doesn't work, which makes me think it's an older inventory. But this is a 6-track EP, as I mentioned, originally digital, called Hit and Run. And the title apparently comes from the fact that Chris Murphy was cycling in Toronto and was hit by a car. It was a hit and run, so the driver fled off and he ended up with a broken collarbone. That's where the title comes from. I have seen him cycling around many times in Toronto, believe it or not. I've also seen Bruce Cockburn on his bike here, but he moved to California some years ago. So it comes with this insert with lyrics, and I'll show you the record here, just a plain white sleeve. This is a 45 RPM pressing, which is really good. This is a set of great songs. Now, Sloan, I think, is one of those incredible bands that has just been so consistent over the years. And I mean that because they've had a consistent lineup. All 4 members contribute to, writing music and singing. And the other thing I would say is I can't even think of a Sloan record I don't like. So I think they are consistently great. They manage to always put out really interesting music. This is, I guess you'd say, like a power pop record. And I think it's quite enjoyable. All songs in here are really great. So I would encourage you to listen to Sloan if you haven't listened to Sloan before. I think it's really good. Now, in the same vein, we'll go back to 1982 with this record from Sloan. This is their debut record from 1992. Of course, they had an EP before this. So this is Smeared, which came out in 1992. And of course, it was released on vinyl. In 1992, I was buying some records, but I bought more CDs, I think, than records. And I missed this. And it was repressed in 2018. I think I missed that too. This is a 2024. As far as I can tell, the 2024 pressing. In that year, they released a box set as well, which I don't have, but I do have this. And I think it's a really great debut record. Now, Underwhelmed was a song that I had heard before this record came out, of course. It was funny. I was reading the All Music Guide entry on this album, and they start out by calling it kind of a mess because they argue there's influences from all over the place, like Sonic Youth, My Bloody Valentine, Pixies, Velvet Underground, even Nirvana. But they start off by saying it's kind of a mess, but at the end they seem to like the record. They kind of pull it all together. They highlight a few tracks like I Am the Cancer, What's There to Decide, and Two Seater, and I'm thinking, why haven't they mentioned Sugar Tune? That's a great song, and Take It In is also a great song, as well as Underwhelmed. I think they're all really good songs. So it comes with this insert with the lyrics, which is cool to have. And the sleeve is poly-lined. There we go. So I think this is a very solid record. And as I say, I pretty much liked everything the band has done. I think they're just really great. So I won't say anything else about that because I don't know what else to say about that. So we'll end with the 4th record, which I got at a different store. And when I show it to you, you'll probably be wondering why I never owned it before, because I am known to have a lot of new wave from the 80s. So this is China Crisis. What Price Paradise, their 4th record from 19... Yeah, it's not on here, and I'm going to forget. So, I'll probably in the label. Anyway, I didn't have this one. I don't know why I didn't have this one. I have the others from China Crisis. I thought they were a really great band. Great little new wave band. I always think of them in the same breath as bands like Icicle Works. Really solid. They put out some great singles, which I really quite liked. The record that preceded this was called Flaunt the Imperfection, and it was notable because it was produced by Walter Becker of Steely Dan. And Walter Becker essentially joined the band for that record. And of course, that record had such great songs like King in a Catholic Style and the sublime Black Man Ray, which I think is terrific. He didn't produce this record, but subsequently on the next record, Walter Becker came back, and that one is known to be like the most Steely Dan style of record they ever made. So I think they're still making music, but I kind of lost track in the late 80s. And here's the inner sleeve on Virgin, this red Virgin label. So the singles on here, I think there were two. On side two, what was the side two single? Best Kept Secret, I believe, was a single. And the first single was the absolutely incredible Arizona Sky, which is one of those tracks from the 80s that I'll never forget. That track, I mean, if I ever made a list of top 50 songs from the 80s, that might crack the top 20. Well, it's hard to say, there's just so many to choose from, but I really love Arizona Sky. It just brings back memories. When I put this on, I was like, had almost forgotten about that song, and I was like, oh my God, some songs can really take you back, and that one just did it for me. I hadn't heard it in years. It's such a great song. Those are probably the two highlights. I mean, the rest is pretty good. I guess they'll never recapture, by this point, the glory of Black Man Ray or African and White, but a really solid record from China Crisis that I should have had in my collection ages ago. And this is also in pretty good shape. I don't really understand the cover there, but I guess that's another story. Anyway, that is 4 new records, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.